alive. Can you hear the evil crown, the lies and the laughter?
Larry.
Hey, buddy.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
I've been seeing your stuff for so many years, man, and just a tip of the hat.
Oh, boy. Well, I can say the same thing. You know, as I told you when we arrived, my parents had every Steely Dan record on vinyl that you were on, and they had all the cassette tapes of On Solid Ground and all of the stuff. So I've been listening to you for forever, and I'm just so honored to be here speaking to you.
Thanks, man. You're so natural at this. I really enjoyed watching you do your thing.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, man.
Well, so first up, we have Don't Take Me Alive, and you know, that's just, I mean, everything about it is incredible. The guitar tone is incredible. The phrasing, everything that you chose to play. I really would love to know about how that session unfolded, like even just the opening chord, like whose decision was that? Like it's such an unusual way to start a song and start with a solo nonetheless. Like what was the impetus for this whole thing?
I've told this story in my concerts when I share with the audience, you know, and I did the solo to just a count off. Mm-hmm. And we nailed that fairly quickly. And then Donald, I was in the booth. My amp was out in the other room. And Donald said, but hang on, man, the start's not quite. He gave it, I don't know, 10 or 15 second thought. He said, just hang. He said, and it was beautiful the way he did it. He said, let's just put a big chord in front of it. That was the way that chord came about. So I said, okay. So I went out of the booth, stood in front of my Deluxe, and played that big chord. Got it all the notes to ring, but they had me play it, I don't know, at least 3 times, maybe 4, and they set this compression so that they could get it sitting right. Mm-hmm. They had a vision of what that chord could do. Mm-hmm. But that's how it came about. Let's just put a big chord in front of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so did you have to sync the timing of that with so that the solo would come in? Or like how did they...
Yeah. Well, I played the chord and it was ringing, and possibly, I don't remember exactly, but most likely I played the chord, it was ringing, and I looked through the glass to the booth, and Donald probably went, and that's when I went, give them something to cut to.
Right.
So they could put a backbeat or something and sync it to the track.
Yeah. And so is that all overdubs? That was all
you?
Okay. So, and what was established at that point? Was vocal already there? Was like drum and bass already? Like how much of the track was established?
Yeah, we had already cut the tracks for the Royal Scam.
Okay.
They were finished.
Got it.
And so now it was time to come in and try some solos. So, yeah, I'm sure there was at least a rough vocal.
Yeah.
And that's all we as sidemen really need. We don't need all the backgrounds and stuff if they're not there.
Right.
So I'm sure Donald had a rough.
Now, for a typical Steely Dan session, how would you ordinarily describe it? Was it typically done as strictly overdubs, or would you come and sort of help lay the foundation for songs on one day and then would come back separately? Were there charts? Were you making the charts? Kind of like, what did it look like?
Yeah, sure. Well, it started, I played on one track on Katie Lied,
right,
a rhythm track.
Yeah.
And then when they were starting to do the next album, they called me and said, will you do the charts? Well, doing the charts for Steely Dan is takedown. They brought me cassettes to my home studio. We listened to them. The voicings were there. Some bass parts were already indicated that works with that. So I was basically doing takedowns. I wasn't coming up with an arrangement for Steely Dan. I don't want anybody to think that my input was more arranged on the guitar.
Were you thinking about that as you were transcribing that? Or you didn't even know, did they tell you that you were going to be playing the guitar parts, or they simply said, okay.
They just needed basic rhythm charts for the 4-piece or 5-piece rhythm section to play to.
Okay.
So it was well organized. The voicings were there. So it immediately, I've done this on my own stuff over the years. If I dictate the voicings, then it sounds like Larry Carlton music.
Mm-hmm.
Their voicings had to be there to sound like Steely Dan music. So I took those keyboard parts and wrote the exact voicings that Donald played.
Yeah, yeah. And once that was established, then did they say, okay, we need you to come in and play the guitar parts on these? Or like, what was the succession of like, kind of like you did the charts?
Yeah, but then basic rhythm tracks. And on the date, I came up like on that one, you know. You would hear this?
Yeah.
That little lift-off. That was done instinctively on the rhythm track dates.
And was that this guitar?
It was this guitar and that amp, which you'll show.
Yeah, we'll get some nice B-roll of it.
We'll get right back to the interview with Larry, but before we do, you might be wondering about what strings and cables are trusted by studio legends such as Larry. The entire signal path today, might come as no surprise, is running through D'Addario American Stage Cable, a high-quality, low-capacitance, and low-noise instrument cable. Additionally, Larry has been a long-time user of D'Addario strings, his string of choice for arguably the most recorded ES335 in music history, being the D'Addario EXL10s. You can check that out over on the D'Addario website, linked in the description, or use their string finder to find the perfect set of strings for your guitar and setup. Now back to the interview.
And can you tell us, like, what is the story of because this is the Hitmaker. This is the one that's on everything, right? Pretty much?
Yeah. I got lucky and found a great instrument that matched my hands and feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is the story? I know you've elaborated for a bit, but just for our audience, like,
Sure.
what was the story of how this kind of became it? So to speak?
Well, I was starting to get busy in the studio scene in 1970. And so back then, the guys would carry a telly, a jazz box, dry box, ukulele, banjo, Strat if they had one. So I had a telly and a Les Paul, but me coming from more of a jazz influence, I wanted something that felt more like a jazz box. And I had seen, in my teens, some older guitar players playing some big jazz chords and shit on a 335. So I thought, I'm going to get a 335. So I lived in Southern California in the suburbs. I went to a local music store, Mr. B's for music in Palos Verdes, California.
Okay. So were you living in West LA at that time then?
It's suburbs, which is like Redondo Beach area.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went to Palos Verdes, and they had three 335s hanging on the wall. And so I tried each one of them, didn't plug them in.
Yeah.
Tried them acoustically.
Yeah.
And this is the one that
spoke to you.
Caught me. So I bought it. I think it was $850.
Wow. And was that like a ton for something like that at the time? Or was that
typical high Gibson price for a quality instrument?
And was it, because this is the late 60s, right?
69.
69. So was this just something that had been hanging around for a couple years? Was it brand new when you bought it, or was it?
Brand new.
Okay.
It was brand new. It had the stop tail piece. And I even think there's some pictures, early pictures, that it had a Bigsby kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, because you can kind of see where maybe some of those holes were filled.
Yeah.
Where the Bigsby originally was. Yeah.
Yes, but then, of course, getting to working with it, then you got pitch problems with the trapeze and all that.
Right. So you're trying to bend and find the note as the bridge is moving.
So all of that happened over the course of the next few years, finessing as stop tail pieces and all that came up. But yeah, it was Steely Dan, and then getting the 335 just felt more like me because of my love for jazz and blues.
Yeah.
There it is.
So, and where did the Mr. 335 come from? Was that somebody that gave you that name?
Yeah,
of course. So who was responsible for that?
I would never give myself a handle. I was in Japan. I started going to Japan in 1974 with the Crusaders. And then when my first Warner Brothers album came out, it was a big success with Room 335. And I started touring in Japan. And during one of the interviews, that's where it came from. He said, well, you're Mr. 335. because nobody else at that time was playing the 335 infusion kind of bags,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So it became my handle
Right.
given to me by
Wow.
a journalist.
Wow. And it stuck.
It's a beautiful thing.
Well, it's iconic, you know, because I think that you are one of the artists that's most, you know, if not the most closely associated with this instrument. There's no Mr. Telly, there's no Mr. Strat, but there is a Mr. 335.
Can I pump up just for a second? No, it was the coolest, man. It was a gift.
Yeah.
A gift.
And is this thing totally stock, other than, looks like the tuners were converted to Schaller at some point, and then the nut is maybe like a graphite or something?
Graphite, when tuning became even more, we could improve it in the studios in the 70s. It was suggested, and it was a great thing.
Yeah.
No slippage, no sticking.
Yeah.
So, graphite nut. Other than that, just refrets over the years from being played so much.
Yeah.
Pickups are the same ones.
Yeah, maybe the saddles probably were nylon originally, but that might have changed when you moved away from the Bigsby.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, well, it's a beautiful sounding guitar, unquestionably, and that's really cool. I'm also curious about the Tweed Deluxe, since that was such a signature part of your sound, especially with the Steely Dan stuff. How did you come across this Tweed Deluxe?
Don't remember, but I did, obviously. And I had my Room 335 studio, you know, in L.A., in Hollywood. And it was one of the amps sitting around, not used very much, but it was there. And I honestly don't know why I decided to take it to the overdub for the Royal Scam album.
Yeah.
Because I didn't use it on the tracking dates. I used my Princeton.
Yeah.
For clean.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And when do you remember when you got it, or it was?
I don't.
You know, so, but presumably before the mid-'70s.
Yeah, sometime there. I don't remember. At the time, you get an idea or a hot shot thing, and you pick something up and go, "Oh, that's cool."
You're right, right. Well, it's funny how many people mistake a lot of your sound for a Dumble when they actually are hearing this.
Absolutely.
Like their assumption is that, oh, he used a Dumble on all this Steely Dan stuff, and it's just this 112 sub 20 watt amplifier that, you know, it was made in the 1950s, and it sounds
I used my
huge.
Dumble very limited. I didn't use it very much on recording. It was so loud.
Yeah.
And at the time, my studio in LA was smaller, tight. It would overwhelm the room. So I'm not, but all my live recordings, a lot of them were the Dumble, which got that sweet sound when it could breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you first met Dumble, or how you were introduced to him?
I know part of it right off the top of my head. I don't know if it was Dean Parks who had met him first and said, "You got to check out these amps, man. They're really cool." Dean didn't have one at the time, but he had heard about them. And I got a call one evening from somebody, and they said, "Dumble's in the Valley over at so-and-so rehearsal studio. You ought to go over and meet him and check out his amp." And so my cousin Steve was with me. He was my assistant engineer at the time, Steve Carlton. And by the way, he went on to have a 20-year career engineering at Fox in L.A. So we drove to that studio to go check out this Dumble amp. And Eric Johnson was there.
Okay.
Playing up on a stage. It was all carpeted and shit. Nobody was there.
Yeah.
Eric's up there doing all this stuff. So I met Eric that night.
Yeah.
And got to experience the sound of the Dumble. And I don't even remember what year that was. I don't.
It's probably in the 80s, I would presume.
Yeah.
Just based on when we first started seeing you using him live.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. And I remember he was Howard Dumble at the time, not Alexander. And I said, "Love your amp, man. Love to have one, but I've heard stories that you're the only one that can fix it. And if I can't get to you," I was touring the world at the time, you know. And he was beautiful. He said, "If you want the amp and you buy the amp, I guarantee you that if something goes down, I'll take care of you immediately." And he did for a number of years. It went out in Japan and we shipped it back. He fixed it, he shipped it back, and I had it on the 4th day. So great start with Mr. Dumble. Mm-hmm. Yep. And tone for that day, tone for days.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Do you remember what the wait time was like between like when you placed your order and you actually got your first overdrive special? Because you've had more than one, is that right?
Yeah, because of touring the world, I
Right.
needed one in Brussels and one in England.
Right.
And, it wasn't, it might have been already made. I don't remember exactly, but it wasn't like this year-long wait to get this amp.
Right.
Yeah.
So even on like records like On Solid Ground or like All in Good Time, like that wasn't a Dumble, was that?
I wish my cousin Steve was here. He was with me for all of that stuff. He would remember.
Because there's also a period in there where you were using Mesa Boogie for a little bit.
Yeah, 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I was early, maybe 73 when the first came out.
The Mark Ones.
Yeah, you want to talk about that for a second?
Sure, yeah. I remember Carlos Rios told me, I think, that you had introduced him to the Mark One.
I was in San Diego with the Crusaders for a concert, and a local music store owner came to sound check. He said, "We just got this new amp in. Wonder if you want to try it. It's called a Boogie." I plugged that thing in and put it on 777. That was my settings. 777. That thing sustained like nothing before it. Mm-hmm. I bought it that day.
Wow.
And recorded Spiral, a number of tunes with the Crusaders. I used the Boogie and the 335. Yeah.
And what was the departure from the Boogie? Was the next pivot or the next amp that sort of filled that place was the Dumble, or was it just kind of always in rotation concurrently with the Dumble and the Tweed Deluxe?
Yeah, I remember, Randy,
Yeah.
Boogie.
Yep.
He was great.
Yeah.
But my first Boogie would go down.
Yeah.
So I said, make me one just like it for a spare.
Yeah.
So I'm covered. The second one didn't sound like the first one.
Yeah.
So it was always a compromise when I had to use the second one.
Yeah.
Plus the wood wasn't as dark.
Interesting. So there's an interesting story, which I don't know if you've ever heard this about Mesa Boogie and the amp that they try to recreate for you. And I don't know if it was Randall Smith that told this story or Mike, who is one of the guys that just worked for Randy for forever.
Yeah.
But I think that the realization was that on your original Mesa Boogie that you were using an EVM 12S as opposed to an EVM 12L. Mm-hmm. So the L is like the long coil and the S is the short coil, and there's like an immediacy difference that translates to how the amp sounds. And apparently they said that when they sent you the second one, they sent you one that wasn't an S. They sent you an L because that had become their standard, but your original one, I guess, had an S. And I think that they said that they didn't figure that out until like decades later.
I don't.
This is a story that they thought. I'm just curious if you've ever heard it.
It could be true, and I'm trying to think who my tech was back then because I was touring.
Because they look almost identical. Like the speaker probably may not even have said some of those EVs from that time didn't even have labeling on the back. Okay. It was just like a magnet that would look generic.
Okay,
you know?
It's an EV speaker and an EV speaker.
Yeah.
So that's very, very possible.
Yeah, I wonder if that was it or if that was just, I don't know, something they told themselves to feel better about it. Yeah, I know.
They called me, hey man, see if it's a...
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows?
But anyway, it was a great discovery.
Yeah.
Made me play different. Used it at the Baked Potato a lot.
Yeah.
Ooh, it was great. So yeah, Boogie, transition into Dumble.
Yeah, wow. Well, I want to continue talking about another session that you did that I really adore when Donald Fagen separated, or I guess didn't separate, but tried to do his own thing with his own album and did, really great with the Nightfly. Yeah. And there's this story that I believe you've told it before. I've heard it reinterpreted a few times, but I'd love to hear it from the horse's mouth. About how you show up to New York to do this session, and Donald's like, "Hey, where's your Tweed Deluxe?
Where's your amp?"
Yeah. Did you bring another amp, or were you just dependent upon backline that they had?
They called and said, "Can you fly to New York and do overdubs on Donald's album?" I said, "Sure." Took my 335 in a suitcase. Got there late in the afternoon. to go visit at the studio and say hi to start the next day. And they noticed I came in with just my guitar. So at some point, Donald said, well, where's your amp? I said, well, I didn't ship my amp here. He said, oh, well, let's send for it.
Uh-huh.
So we took the next day off, FedEx, back to, shipped the Deluxe. He had in his mind what he wanted Larry to sound like on that stuff. So yeah, they shipped the Deluxe out, and then we did all the Nightfly tracks in like a day and a half.
Yeah. Wow. And did you find that there was a difference in working with Donald solo versus working with Walter and he as Steely Dan? Was there sort of a difference in the way that the production worked or in kind of what was being asked of you, or was it sort of the same style of session, would you say?
I would say a little different and same style in a lot of ways. When Walter and Donald were, when I was doing Steely Dan record and they were in the booth, they would converse to each other. Mm-hmm. In fact, Walter told me maybe a year before his passing that for Kid Charlemagne, he said, I suggested you play a Strat. Mm. And so we pulled out a Strat, and I ran some stuff down on Kid Charlemagne.
Was it the one that you had, the Sunburst one that you used for a long time?
Probably.
Okay.
He said, now let's go back to your guitar. Mm-hmm. And that's when I connected with the stuff. But he had that kind of, let's try this, let's try that. Then doing the Nightfly, it was just communicating with Donald. Mm-hmm. Strictly, he was the guy, he had done it all. And I think, I know on Ruby Baby, whatever I played, just when he said, well, just play along, here's a chart and see. I played whatever I played, I don't remember. And at the end of it, he said, think older, meaning generational. Mm-hmm. Whatever I played to his ear was too contemporary. Mm-hmm. He said, think older. And so I don't know the exact lick. We'll have to hear it in a minute. But I came up with that riff, whatever that riff was, that was more to his liking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's a great, that Ruby Baby's a great song. It's one of my favorites on the whole record. And you know, I know that I also like the Goodbye Look. I think that's a really cool one that has like kind of that sort of like, you know, like a Latin flair to it, and it's got some really cool stuff. But I'm curious too, on that session, it was strictly overdubs, no other session musicians were there? It was just the two of you guys?
Yeah, in the booth with Roger Nichols.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And were there? I know that there were some other guitar players that are sort of like mixed around in the record, like Hugh McCracken, I think is on. Did you ever interface with Hugh in any of that stuff? No.
It was there. And when the record came out, all those great guitar parts before my stuff that I do.
Yeah.
Whew.
So there was already some of it on some of those songs before you got to
it. Well, the parts were
there,
but then they orchestrated it.
Yeah.
And those guys played great parts, and then I kind of get to shine doing my thing, you know?
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. I would love to, if you're willing to hear a little bit of what you did on Ruby Baby and hear it against the track, if that's possible.
Yeah. I don't remember at this moment what I played, but you and I will listen.
We'll find out.
And then I'll try to just emulate a little bit of what it was. Okay.
I love that. All right, perfect. I love that song.
Yeah.
Did it sound old enough that time?
Yeah. Right.
There's this story about it that I was reminded of while I was listening to you play, that I guess, I don't know if Donald had said this or if it was something you had said, but apparently you had remarked that your amp was exceptionally noisy during that session. And it had turned out that the reason why is that it was right next to an MTA station in New York.
Oh, yeah, I
and
heard
that there was like a magnet or something like that was like walled up against wherever the studio was, and that it was causing like hum in the amplifiers.
Sure.
Do you have any remembrance of that?
Not really, but it sounds familiar. You know, I'm trying to see if we could get away from
Right.
the noise. So.
Right. Well, it certainly didn't affect the end result, but I just thought it was a funny thing that I read about, sort of like a lore about that session.
Yeah.
Well, I want to move to your work with Joni Mitchell, and it seemed like there was a period there where the LA Express was just the band, you know, for her, and you were in it. Of course, a lot of other illustrious musicians, some people from the Crusaders even.
Yeah.
I'm curious about how you got the call from Joni and how you first started working with her as a session guitar player.
Yeah. Tom Scott and Max Bennett, John Guerin, and Joe Sample even, were starting to play at the Baked Potato on Tuesday nights for fun, which we all did. Go jam it, you know. And I knew all those guys, obviously, from session work. But yeah, my cousin Steve and I, for the second set, we decided, I lived right up on the hill, 6 minutes from
Studio
the Baked
City?
Potato.
Or,
yeah. Right up off of Barham. Anyway, so we drove to the Baked Potato and went down to hear the guys. And I sat in. At the end of the set, they said, "You want to sit in?" They had a guitar player playing that night with them. And so I sat in on 2 tunes, and something happened between us. It just became a different thing than it had been. So the next morning, I get a phone call from Tom Scott. "Hey, you want to join a band?" So it was so much fun. Of course, I said, "Sure, I'll play the Baked Potato with these guys. This is great." Well, my understanding is that Tom knew Joni somewhat. And so in one of our Tuesday night gigs, she came to the Baked Potato. I didn't know it. And heard us. And told Tom, "I think I'd like to go in the studio with you guys. Just see what happens." So that's how it worked.
Wow.
She started a new album and called Joe Sample, me, John Guerin, Max Bennett. Tom was there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you remember working on the song Help Me?
Only because I've listened to it over the years. What I remember first about being in the studio for the first night was she had a cassette of her demo. And so Tom Scott and I just started jotting down the chords. So we'd have some rough thing to play to as a guide. And then, yeah, as a unit, we all went out and just started playing, like Help Me. And everybody found their own parts. There was no, that I remember, no input from Joni on the tracking dates as far as, "Oh, that was cool," or "Don't do that."
Right.
It was just, it flowed and it was working. And that's what I remember about Help Me for sure, which is probably one of the first, if not the first tunes we cut.
Wow.
Yeah.
From a Chord and Spark.
Yeah.
So she was pretty like, because she produced that record, I think.
With Henry Louis.
With Henry Louis, okay.
Yes.
And so pretty hands-off, kind of like let you guys do your thing, sort of develop what you thought the track needed, and then would she sing with you guys live, or would it be overdub? Or
I think she sang a rough with us.
So it was just everybody in a room.
Yeah, her in a booth, and the rest of us at A&M staggered around. Little Princeton amp, with baffles. And,
Wow.
yeah.
And in the Princeton that we have sitting kind of behind me, we'll get a shot of it. That's the one that you used.
To the best of my knowledge.
The 70s Princeton. It's funny that one observation, and I'll give you this quick aside, of every studio player that I've played with, whether it's you, whether it's Ray Parker Jr., whether it's Dean Parks, all of you are using 70s Princetons on almost everything. It's not like the really sexy mid-60s, black panel one that goes for $5,000. It's like people can still get these amps for $1,000.
Yeah.
And that's the one that is like pervasively recorded on all the LA sessions.
I think, a lot of that's because you didn't have to turn it up very loud to get a pretty good sound.
Yeah.
So you didn't bleed into the drums.
Mm-hmm.
Had a little reverb if you needed it.
Mm-hmm.
Easy to pack for the cartage guys. All that, I think, came in. A champ was too small with the little 8-inch thing.
Yep.
It didn't sound good. So Princeton became, and it was already established when I started doing sessions.
Sure, like even Tommy Tedesco and other guys were using, the earlier generation ones. But it's great. So this would have just been a kind of like a newer amp for the time. It was just kind of contemporary Fender. Is that kind of, yeah.
Bought it new.
Do you remember where you bought it? I guess Valley Arts probably wasn't open yet.
It wasn't.
No.
It wasn't. Yeah, I don't know. It might have been Hanich Music, but I can't remember. He was in West Covina.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to hear what you did on Help Me if you're willing to play through a little bit of it and just rehash the part. Of course, I love. The guitarist gets to come in with kind of like that rake in the intro and just all the fills and everything are just so beautiful.
Yeah, thanks. I'll play some of it that I remember with the track, of course,
Love it.
and then we can talk about what you see.
Yeah.
Because I listened to it last night knowing we were going to talk about it, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
Help me, I think I'm falling in love again. When I get that crazy feeling, I know I'm in trouble again. I'm in trouble, 'cause you're a rambler and a gambler and a sweet-talking ladies man. And you love your loving, not like you love your freedom. Help me, I think I'm falling in love too fast. It's got me hoping for the future and worrying about the past. 'Cause I've seen some hot, hot places come down to smoke and ash. We love our loving, not like we love our freedom. Oh, didn't feel good. We were sitting there talking, or lying in our talking. Didn't feel good. Dance with a lady with a hole in her stocking. Didn't feel good. Didn't feel
What a great song.
Oh, God.
Do you ever
Just great.
have a sense like when you played this, like do you hear it on the radio like months later and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that was me?
Absolutely.
Do you remember the first time you heard yourself on the radio?
Yeah. 1968, I was 20, junior college, Harbor Junior College in Harbor City, California, suburb. And they wanted to put on a little jazz, real small college. Wanted to put on a little jazz festival for the school, and they knew I played. So my trio would headline it. Some other people played a little bit, and we played. And there was a record producer there. I don't know why. At least he said he was a record producer. Harry Mitchell. Anyway, after the show, he said, "You thinking about making a record?" said, sure, we'd love to. It's just me and my trio guys, buddies, you know. So my first record, yeah, it was called With a Little Help from My Friends. And I did a version of MacArthur's Park. And by the time I get to Phoenix, and KBCA, which was the jazz station on the West Coast in L.A., locked onto those tracks.
Wow.
They were playing them 3 or 4 times a day.
Wow.
And it was, of course, a thrill.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Do you remember the first hit that you played on?
Probably Put It Where You Want It.
Yeah.
It became a hit song and performance and band.
Yeah. And heavily featured, you know, as an instrumentalist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah. Those times with the Crusaders had to be pretty special.
I was a fan as a teenager.
Yeah.
I only owned one record, Jazz Crusaders, Tough Talk.
Yeah.
But the sound and the feel and all that, I used to jam to it in my bedroom at 15, 14 years old, 16 years old. So yeah, to be 7 years later, sitting in the studio with those guys.
Had to be surreal.
It was.
What was Joe Sample like?
Joe, intense in a very, very beautiful way.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's serious about.
Yeah.
You watch Joe on any of the videos, and you watch his foot.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a precision that Joe demanded.
Yeah.
And I learned so much doing those 13 albums with those guys. Harmonically from Joe.
Yeah.
Feel-wise from Wilton.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And the freedom with which Styx played became... Those songs that we did were performances.
Yeah.
They weren't just tracks. They were performances.
I always wondered when I would see, you know, and you listen to these tunes, like how you guys would have time. You were all such busy session musicians separately from what you were doing. Like the fact that you guys were able to come together and create these great songs.
Yeah, they just book 2 weeks at a studio, leave it set up, and come in every day at 10, do a 10 to 2, 10 to 1 and a 2 to 5, try to get some tracks. There was no pressure.
Yeah.
The guys came in with no demos, just charts.
Would you each be responsible for like bringing a couple of songs to the table when you would create, when they have sessions like that?
They were.
Okay.
It wasn't until, I don't remember which album it was, where they said, Larry, write us a tune, man. So they started including me in that part of the publishing also.
Yeah. All right.
So I wrote Nightcrawler.
Yeah, good one.
For the Crusaders.
Yeah.
And we cut it. Came out just okay.
Yeah.
Then my version in 78 with the Cats became the version of Nightcrawler, but I wrote it for the Crusaders.
Nice. Nice. Well, I remember my dad was the city manager of Mammoth, and Joe had a home there, and he was one of our neighbors.
Okay.
And so I met Joe as a kid, and like my dad had, I don't know, like some of his tapes like Spellbound or, you know, some of the Ashes to Ashes or something like that. So I knew him from that music. I didn't really know like the depths until I, you know, became a musician myself and got to learn more about his career and what he had done. But I just knew him as like, oh yeah, our neighbor Joe, you know.
Joe. Boy, it was very, very, you know, obviously so special.
Yeah.
So special.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I want to move on to a little slightly after your work with Joni Mitchell in the timeline and your work with Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones on the Off the Wall record in the song She's Out of My Life. And you're in a pretty select group of guitar players that's ever worked with Michael Jackson. It seems like there's a handful that have kind of been on those records, and those are the only people that really have stories about working with Bruce Swedien and Quincy. I'm curious from your vantage point, you know, what was that session like? How did you get introduced to Michael Jackson, and how did you get selected to play on this record?
Yeah, well, that was, what year was that?
I think it was 79.
Okay,
70, yeah.
Right, in that era.
Yeah.
So I was obviously a well-established session guy. I knew Tom Baylor, the songwriter. We knew each other from 1969. We didn't see each other, but we knew each other. And he was working very tightly with Quincy, and they cut Greg Fillingane's piano and Michael's vocal.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a call from Tom. He said, we have this Michael Jackson tune. And I looked at Quincy and said, what's it need? Who should we? And then he said, Carlton. And I didn't play on any of the other tracks, but they called me for the ballad.
Yeah.
They wanted whatever that thing is that I can maybe give them.
Yeah.
So I show up for the session and they play it for me, had a chord chart. And so I just played along. You'll hear this, right, Tyler?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You'll hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I started playing some voicings for over the
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did a pass like that. And Quincy looked at Bruce Swedeen, the engineer, and he said, will it print? Bruce said, it's too low. With the Rhodes and all that, what am I want to hear my beautiful chords against that beautiful thing. But that was a normal process. You give them something, and then they can say, maybe try a higher register. Or but for you, looked at Bruce. I never forgot that. Will it print?
Yeah, interesting. What a great mindset as an editor, of this sort of stuff.
Yep. So I said, okay, I'll try some other things, and that's when I came up, doing harmonics. And that's what really worked. But on the opening, that is in there blended with the Rhodes.
Yeah.
Whatever I played.
Yep.
Out of the range of the Rhodes. It was a nice open spot. So that was it. Michael was not there. He was in Australia.
Okay.
So I never met the gentleman.
Yeah.
And that was it. Me, Bruce, and Quincy. I gave him 2 or 3 passes, and glad I'm on it.
Yeah. And was that your Tweed Deluxe or was that your Princeton?
Princeton.
And there's also a lot of volume swells in there. Was that something that you decided on, or was that something that they had asked for? Do you remember?
I don't remember them asking, and I've listened to it. I don't really hear it.
You don't hear them as swells?
No, but
Could be my imagination.
Right.
I just remember you always had that big show bud that was on, a lot of your early pedal boards. Right. And I always thought, that's a man who's not afraid of a volume pedal. It's not for the faint of heart. You got a show bud on there.
Yeah. But that was it. And it just, my name came up as the guy to probably come in and play on that tune, and it worked. As little as I'm heard on that tune, all the little spots I'm really proud of.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And had you worked with Quincy much before that point?
Not a lot, but I did early in my career. He was doing the music for the Bill Cosby Fat Albert show. And I was just a new guy, probably number 9 on the list, this young guy. But anyway, I got a call to do a session, a picture call for Quincy Jones. So I go to, and I was there for the second session. Obviously, whoever, Dennis Budimir or whoever it was, couldn't make it.
Okay.
And they got the kid.
Yeah.
So I walk into the sound stage and set my stuff up and pull out the music. And it's probably trumpets, saxophones, flutes. So we do the first cue. They were all cues, dark with the picture, Quincy cueing where the things happen. And it was written. So I played it. But then the lesson comes for the young guy. Now Quincy's going to reorchestrate that same cue. Okay, so give the guitar part to the flute players. Flute, you give your part to... So all of a sudden I'm getting somebody else's part written differently than mine, and
they're kind of transposing the moment. Yeah,
it was intimidating. I did it, but I was nervous. Years and years, years later, probably it might have been on the Michael thing. I said, Quincy, do you remember the first time I worked for you? And I reminded him what it was. I said, man, I was so nervous and so young and all that. And he said, I just remember you did a good job. Then he was the lead. He had so many things on his mind. He wasn't worried about little Larry Carlton, I'll tell you that much. So yeah, that was my experience with Quincy.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Yeah, what a legend. Yeah. Well, I'd love to pull up the track and have you play a little bit of your parts if you're willing.
yeah, I'll try to remember and maybe play a few harmonics just to show that that's where my headspace went and that's what they agreed with.
Yeah.
Sure thing.
Cool.
She's out of my life. She's out of my life. And I don't know whether to laugh or cry. I don't know whether to live or die. And it cuts like a knife. She's out of my life. It's out of my hands.
I still love how you capture the emotion, you know, like I can see why Quincy would want you, even to this day, to be on a ballad, because you figure the exact right notes to play at the exact right time. And I've said this a million times, but you guys as session guitarists are such uncredited arrangers, you know, there's so much that is going on and so much musical experience that has to occur to even be in the position to make a decision as to like whether an A should be played here or here or here, and you know, should it be, you know, the whole melodic components of the song are so much like experiential and it's like you can't teach it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I was thinking about this. You mentioned the session guys, and I knew we would talk today. To sit next to some of the best players in the world every day. Many dates I would be there, and Dennis Budimir would be the guitar player. Well, Dennis was a veteran from the 60s. Tasty, wonderful, come from a jazz background, of course. But if I played something like what you just heard on a ballad, he's absorbing that because we're buddies and we're sitting there playing. And he goes to a session where there's a ballad. Well, he's going to start doing some of that. Right? And I saw an interview with him, way back. He played on a big hit for Barbra Streisand. And he said, you know, everybody thinks that's Larry Carlton, but that's me. We, sitting next to Dean, I had never heard of Wah Wah Watson. Dean was doing dates with him. It's early in Dean's career. And Dean and I are on a date, and he goes and kind of laughed. Well, I never did that before. Well, I go to my session a day or two later, and it's Four Tops, Keeper of the Castle. I did with a wah-wah because I heard Dean do that as a joke on the session. So everybody was learning and gleaning and picking up things from each other all of the time. Yeah.
I heard you say this before about when you first met Robin, and his influence on how there was sort of Robinisms that you picked up as just a consequence of being in, you know, kind of the musical orbit. And I'm sure he would say the same of you.
Don't know about that, but I said this in that wonderful little quick interview I did with Rick Beato at the Baked Potato. If you hear something you love, it should show up sometime in your playing because it meant so much to you when you heard it. And that's the way it was when I heard Robin. This kid doing all that, it touched me. So of course, it showed up in my playing because I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Robin too. I feel like he's one of the most. He's so underrated as a rhythm player.
Ooh, he's good.
That because everybody thinks, oh, he's the Dumble guy and he plays, the lead lines. But I've watched him. He was in this band for a very short time called the Guitar Army, and it was he and Leroy Parnell and this guy named Joe Robinson, and they would sort of play a compilation of set lists where they play a few of each of their songs, and then they would back each other up. So you really got to see Robin in this rhythm capacity, and
supporting,
it was like, and I was just focused in on him. I didn't even. I mean, as great as those guys are, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is. He's really intently listening on everything that they're doing and making these split-second decisions. And like, how am I going to support that? How am I going to lead this? How am I going to,
It's that natural ability.
Yeah, the best guys like you, they know how to do that. Well, you mentioned the Four Tops, and you've got a chance to work with them on, arguably their one of their biggest hits, "Ain't a Woman Like the One I Got," and. Historically, I always just assumed that this was just an extension of what they had done in Motown. This was recorded in L.A., and I guess at one point Motown also moved to L.A. from Detroit. But they were sort of making the separation, and they were probably used to working with the Motown guitar players. Like what's the gentleman's name that played on like a bunch of those Marvin Gaye songs? It was. Walker, what's his first name? David T. Walker.
Yeah.
And, great rhythm player and also eventually ended up in LA as well. But do you remember, was there anything that they were telling you that were like, okay, this needs to sound like a Motown record, or this needs to be direct because all the guitars in Motown were always direct, or was there any of that?
Yeah, they weren't there.
Yeah.
It was Dennis Lambert and Brian Potter, the songwriters and producers.
Yeah.
They had done the charts. They laid it out. It was me, I think Ed Green, Wilton Felder, I forget.
I think I have on here for keyboard Dennis Lambert, Paul Humphrey on drums.
Oh, Paul was on that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's just rhythm charts.
Yeah.
And a lick,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But no direction, just great. Just great stuff.
In Wah-Wah on this song, as I believe
that would be an overdub.
It was overdub.
Yeah. I was never in the studio with Wah-Wah. Different circles.
Okay, but I'm saying you used Wah-Wah.
Oh, my
pedal.
Wah-Wah, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Of the day, that was like hip shit.
Yeah, it was like there wasn't that many pedals, right?
Exactly.
At that point in time. Do you remember what Wah-Wah you used to use on sessions?
Crybaby.
I guess it wasn't Dunlop at that point. It would have been Thomas Oregon Company. And do you remember, was it just a contemporary Crybaby, or would you just go and play a few of them that were at a store and be like,
Nah, just buy one
instead of Guitar Center or wherever it was,
and then adjusted, the rope that was in there with all the goop and stuff.
Right.
Adjusted the way I liked it.
Right. Yeah. So there's, just for the listener, there's there's a thing called a rack and a pinion, and then there's all this lubricant, this kind of it looks like toothpaste. It's really thick, like that kind of viscosity to make it move along the rack and pinion. So you'd adjust it because you can kind of tailor the high end how you want it. Yeah. So when it's down, it maybe is more or less bright.
Sure.
Yeah. Very cool. So was that your decision though to use the wah, or would you just say, do your thing, make this sound the way it needs to sound?
Yeah, they just start running it down. It's create on the spot whatever you feel, and if they don't like it, of course they would say, don't use that. But no, it was very loose.
Yeah, and the guitar part is immortalized in that. You probably know that later on Jeff Golub re-recorded that song.
Did he?
Yeah,
I don't know.
And interpreted your parts similarly with the Strat, but it was another big hit for him, I think, on the smooth jazz stations 40 years later or whatever it was.
Well, you brought up David T. Walker's name, and I worked with David T. and he was on at least the first 2 or 3 Crusader albums, playing his thing.
Yeah.
As a kid, I didn't buy any Motown records. I was listening to pop and jazz, and I'd heard them on the radio and liked them, but there was nothing at that time that Curtis Mayfield knew the name, never knew, his stuff.
Yeah.
I got all of that influence once I was a studio player sitting next to the guys who could really do that. And that exposed me to... I never played that stuff because I didn't listen to those records, whoever those guitar players were. So yeah, I think David T was
Yep.
right, all that.
Yeah, all the minor 9 hammer-on stuff. He master of that stuff for sure.
Oh, the harp. It used to be called the harp.
Yep.
So I'm sure by me hearing all of that, then what I played on Ain't No Woman, I played. It comes off of, his. I never listened to those kind of records, so I learned it from the guys subliminally.
Yeah. Another way just to sort of reinforce that it was, you're in the trenches with these guys. You were learning. Yeah, they were learning from you. It was a really great musical ecosystem.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering if you can play a little bit of what you did. We won't have the wah-wah here today, but we can sort of, guesstimate as to what would have been going on in that song. But what a great song.
I'll listen to a couple of things, and then I'll emulate where I think my head was, Yeah. But I did listen to it last night, and I was going to say one of the great compliments for any studio player is if you play something, and this tune is a great example of it, and it becomes part of the arranger's arrangement. My guitar parts on this particular tune are doubled by the flutes, imitated by the flutes. I go. The flutes do that later. I play one little, and the flutes go way up. So the arranger loved what was happening,
right?
And he incorporated the guitar parts into his arrangement for the flutes and strings, etc. Great compliment, but also the big boys do that.
Yeah. Love that.
Cool.
Let's hear it.
Ain't no woman like the one I've got. Ain't no woman like the one I've got. Every day the sun comes up around her. She can make the birds sing harmony. Every drop of rain is glad it found her. Heaven must have made her just for me. When she smiles so warm and tender, a sight for sore eyes to see. Ain't no woman like the one I've got. No, it don't come better. To make her happy doesn't take a lot. She don't ask for things, no memories. Sew together like a hand in glove, like pages in a letter. Ain't no woman like the one I love. She can build me up.
When you play on a song like this that becomes a huge hit, do you have a good sense of when something's a hit versus when it wasn't when you were in the studio?
Never really thought about it, honestly.
Yeah.
Thrilled to hear it on the radio and that it all worked, and oh, I sound good.
Yeah.
But leaving the session, never thought about it.
There was never one where you're like, this is definitely going to be a hit. No.
There's been some where I thought, well, that sucks, and it was huge.
We won't make you say what songs those were.
Only because I didn't prefer what it was. you
Right.
know? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's so cool to just hear all this stuff. I'm just so glad to be able to, this is as close as I can put myself into a session with you. So,
Cool.
Do you remember, Larry, when you first were really like you became the guy, the session guy that everyone wanted, the like you were the first call guy, and you could pretty much ask for the world as a session musician, or to the degree that you could. Do you remember like feeling like, okay, like I'm secure in this gig? Was there a sense that ever happened where you felt like, all right, I've made it. I'm not, the ninth call guy, as you said when you were in your 20s.
Sure.
Was there a time that you kind of felt like, all right, I'm, I've got a career now, like sort of thing?
Sure, there's an awareness once you become so integrated into the system, let's say, where you're one of the guys.
Yeah.
And you're getting the best calls.
Yeah.
Sure, there's a security in that, and not an ego in it, but a security in going, wow, this is cool. I'm right in the thick of making great music every day.
Do you remember like there being a specific album or like artist that kind of helped you feel like that was you kind of reached that plateau, or was it sort of just the aggregate of the body of work?
It was an accumulation. I think starting with the Crusaders, with the volume pedal stuff, One So Far Away and all that, there was a new sound.
Mm-hmm.
And then I won't have them chronological, but people early on, people started calling me to be me, as opposed to can you be like this or be like that. The Michael Franks albums.
Mm-hmm.
That's me, Joe Sample, John Guerin, and Wilton Felder with a chord chart.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy the Puma, the producer, called us because he knew we would come up with,
Right.
it was easy, 3 or 4 tunes in 3 hours because we arranged on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was thrilling to be in the middle of it. You're just so busy, and I didn't really think about it, except this is great.
Do you remember the time with which you kind of like felt like you had sort of done your tour of duty as a session musician and you really wanted to kind of move on and do your own music stuff? Or was it just because you had gotten signed to Warner, right, at one point, and you were making your own records? Was there a time when you were kind of like, okay, I've kind of done the session thing, I've got momentum doing my own record? What was that after the first record? Was that a few records in, or kind of when did you feel? Before that?
In 77, we'll say, I was already at that time doing like the other guys, 15, 18 sessions a week, charging double scale, couldn't make any more money, couldn't take any more work.
Yeah.
It's like, well, now what?
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of decided that I wanted to try producing and arranging. So when people started calling for sessions, I would just put the word out. Now I'm not doing that anymore right now. I'm kind of producing this small act and that's how the Warner Brothers deal came up. I started playing live at Dante's with Joe Sample, Jeff Porcaro, and Pops Popwell. And a producer from CBS Records came in and heard me. And he said, want to make a record? I said, well, yeah, sure. He said, I'll get you some money for some demos.
Yeah.
So I went in and I had Room 335, Nightcrawler, Rio Samba, and one other one. And called my friends, David Foster, Aber Laboriel, Jeff Porcaro.
Yeah.
Greg Matheson, did these demos, and CBS wanted to sign me. But they wanted me to work with their producer. And I was just at that place where I was just secure and cocky enough to go, I want to do it by myself first. So they passed. I sent that demo tape to Tommy LaPuma at Warner Brothers and explained to him. He said, all right, you produce the first one. Room 335,
right?
All that stuff.
Couldn't it's a home run first at bat,
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just worked out correctly, and so my solo career.
And at that point, did you kind of when would you say you were kind of really not like, unless they were maybe a pre-existing client or good friend? When were you kind of like officially out as no longer really doing sessions? Would you say
by 80, I was way down limited for a special project.
For Christopher Cross that was 80, I think.
Yeah.
And Michael O'Mardian came to you, I guess, and said,
yeah, I'm producing this kid. Will you want to play on it for us? I said, sure. So he brought the tapes to my studio.
Christopher did, or Michael?
Michael.
Okay.
He said, well, I'm going to the Dodger game, so when you're finished, I'll have somebody pick them up tomorrow.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even there when I overdubbed those 2 tunes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how much trust and knowing who you're hiring.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was honored when Fagen called, obviously, and that came out in 82.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you were all over some great stuff. I love, one of my favorite solos that you've ever done was on that Christopher Cross record. And it's called The Light Is On. And I'm pretty sure it's a 335.
It is.
And I don't know if it's that or your Tweed or if you were using Dumble by then. It's one of those that's ambiguous. It could be a Dumble. It could be some of the boogies, even when you got them up distorted. They could kind of have some Dumble sort of essence to them, but it's just a really great solo. So that's one of my favorite, like kind of the later session stuff that you did. Yeah. But I want to reverse in time a little bit and go back to the Crusaders and revisit. And you said that, Put It Where You Want It was sort of like the first hit that you heard yourself play on. And we talked a little bit about kind of the band generally, but I'm wondering on that song in particular, how did that come together? How was it that you got featured so prominently? Was it always thought of to sort of be a melody line that was driven by the guitar, or was that sort of something that developed in the session?
No, I don't remember if Joe had ba-da-ba-bum-bum-bum. He probably did. I didn't make that up, or I'd have been a writer on it,
Yeah.
But Joe had ba-da-da-bum-bum-bum, all that parts. So he probably hummed that melody to me. And I was 23 in 71 when it came out. But I remember saying, okay, B.B. King.
Right.
Young kid, treble pickup, but going. I tried to be as slinky as I could. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. And was that also the Princeton?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
And presumably no pedals at that point. Maybe wah-wah on some of the chorus. It sounds like there's like a, just like a pad that's...
If it was me or if it was David or somebody.
Okay.
Yeah. Mostly I was the single line guy and chords, major chords.
Right. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And do you remember where you were when you first heard that song come on the radio? Or were you in the car? Or you don't remember?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to hear it if we could pull up the track and just get a little taste. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to do a little A-B for you here.
Okay.
Here's how I'd like to do it.
Okay, tell us.
I'm going to play the first two verses of Put It Where You Want It on my 335, which is the guitar I played it on.
Yep.
Then we're going to stop.
Okay.
I'm going to pull out my Larry Carlton Sire series guitar, and we're going to compare the sound, or at least
of the
Hitmaker to what I'm doing now.
Yeah, and I'd love to talk to you about exactly kind of, because I'm aware that it exists, but I'd love to hear the story when we.
Yeah, and I've never done this A-B, but all I know is my Sire series. I wouldn't be doing it if they didn't sound great.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
To hear both guitars.
Yeah, I love this. This is a first on the show, so
first for me too. All right.
I think that this is one of the examples of the classic Larry Carlton vibrato, and you mentioned B.B. King, but there's still something special that was unique about what you were bringing. Like, I can hear the inspiration, but I also hear what's uniquely you, and it's kind of transcended your music.
Yeah, I had never thought about my vibrato, especially in my early works in the studio. I just played the way I played as a kid, and then as in my 20s, and I never really gave it any thought. And I was on a session with Dean Parks. He was the new guy still, but I always wanted to work with Dean. And he had the sweetest vibrato. So I just asked him, like we were talking about earlier, sharing. Everybody shared information and licks and stuff. And how do you get that sweet? He said, and he explained it. He said, it's all in the wrist. And he said, the way I practiced it, he practiced it to get it down, is by doing half steps. And it's a wrist motion. So this is what Dean showed me at a session. Any speed. But that's how Dean practiced at home. Just that amount of input made my vibrato then. I was more aware. It became better.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dean.
Yeah. Well, he has an efficiency about the way that he plays. You know, it makes sense that he would have dialed in all these strategies and techniques to like make it all effortless.
Yeah, he told me that when he's doing an acoustic guitar overdub, he watches the VU meter.
Interesting.
So the engineer doesn't have to worry about peaks as much.
Right.
But yeah, he's
like
playing,
his built-in compressor.
Exactly. diligent, and great guy and great musician.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, thanks, Dean.
Well, and I have to say, this thing sounds really great. Can you tell me about how this collaboration between you and Sire came to be?
Yeah, well, you know, for, 5 or 6 years, I was with Gibson.
Right. You had a Signature 335 with them.
Signature, which they didn't really promote very much.
Right.
They liked having it. I liked being with Gibson.
Yeah.
But as they started doing their production for retail, the quality and what it wasn't like my 335,
Right.
which was the whole idea.
Right.
They got the color right.
Right.
That's the easy part.
Yeah.
But the guitar wasn't.
Even the ones that you were getting as like commercial or like artist samples?
Yeah, I got the first two, you know, and they were okay.
Right.
Didn't feel as good as my 69. And anyway, but we did it, but guys, especially in Europe, somebody would come to a concert with one of my 330 Gibson, Larry Carlton, and want me to sign it. I said, sure, and I take it out of the case, and the neck was not anything like mine. I was like, well, okay, yeah. So when that contract ended, it just ended.
Yeah.
Sometime later, my manager was actually approached by Sire. They have Marcus Miller, Miller bass. At that time, which was all going on 6 years ago, Marcus had already been with them 5 years and was re-signing for another 5 years. So I was, okay, Marcus is with these guys. So Kyle, the owner of Sire Guitars, he said, we would like to bring 6 guitars to Nashville and show you the quality of our instruments and the price points. I said, great. They brought 6 guitars, listed then, 6 years ago, at around $500. And you pick them up and they play like singing, beautiful, necks right, no fret on the over. I thought, this is great. I'd love to be involved with you guys. So over the last 5 years, we have, I don't know how many models we have of Larry Carlton Sire guitars.
Yeah.
And I'm not involved on each and every model of that, of course. My only agreement with them was keep the quality up and the price point as low and as efficient as you can for the consumer.
Yeah.
And they've been true to that.
That's great.
That's why I'm still with Sire.
Yeah.
It's been a great, great collaboration.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
man.
And so this is obviously like the flagship, the one that's kind of closest to what your original guitar was as far as neck profile and things like that.
Yeah, so it looks like Larry.
Yeah.
Exactly, and I prefer this body style, obviously.
Sure. Well, I noticed even some of them on the wall have even some resemblance that I've seen in the catalog, at least, to some of the Valley Art stuff that you used at one point. And so I didn't know if that was a nod to anything that you had kind of done throughout your career, because certainly those were at the time they were very unique at what they did. In the 80s. I'm wondering too if you could tell me about like how you first got introduced to Al Carnes and Mike McGuire. Were you just like shopping at the store and you met them that way, or did
I had a little Porsche 914.
Okay.
That's the one with the
convertible one?
With the Volkswagen engine in it. But I thought it was the coolest looking thing, so I ordered one.
Yeah.
It was a lemon. It died on Ventura Boulevard, not for the first time. My cousin Steve was with me, but it died right in front of Valley Art's guitar.
Wow.
So while waiting on a tow or whatever it was that we called, we went in the store and met Mike, and of course they were aware of my career, and we just kind of hit it off. And it was close to my home, 12 minutes down the hill. So that was it, a stalled car and a hello. And those guys, Mike and Al, just took care of all the cats.
Yeah.
The best. And Manuel, the guitar shaver, necker, make of the guitars guy, was really something. All hand. I could go in when they were making me a guitar and put my hand on the neck like this and go, right there, too much, a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Knife. Shaving. That's how artistic it was. It was great. Just great.
Do you remember the first guitar that you got from him? Was it that kind of like Telecaster style shape that had the kind of a Gibson style bridge on it, or was it something else?
I would think it would have been a Strat style, but maybe with 3 power pickups, because I was
like
into
EMGs or
the Boogie,
Yeah.
I would think that was it. Yeah. I know they made me a flame top Strat.
Right.
It was too flashy for me. I don't. That's too much.
Right.
That speaks too much,
Well, because there was kind of a transition time in your career in the late 70s or early 80s where you would see you with like a vintage Strat, and you would see the Les Paul Special.
I still have it.
The kind of the blonde one.
Yeah.
And then the Valley Arts. And were the Valley Arts always with active pickups, or a lot of them with active pickups, like the EMGs? Yeah.
I'm sure 90%.
Yeah.
And I know that we'll move on, but the Telly type one, I said, I want a race car. I want one with the neck so fast, shaved down. So they did that, and it was for my Fusion period.
Yeah. Yeah. Love those guitars. They're so cool. It was such a bummer, kind of what happened with their company, and that it kind of was never able to go back to its original intent. But boy, they were really they were very important in sort of the lineage of establishing the super Strat, kind of thing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And great guys too, really nice guys.
Both guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I'm wondering if we can conclude today with one of your songs, Room 335. And we've got to talk about it a little bit, but I'm wondering if we can maybe go into more detail about producing yourself and how you've got to work with all these legendary producers over the course of your career. Now the ball's in your court. You've got to produce yourself. Did you have a pretty clear idea of kind of like what you wanted as sort of the identity of the record, the identity of the sound? You were in control of the guitar and the amp that was used. It wasn't like Donald Fagen was telling you, I need this amp, I need this guitar.
Sure.
What were kind of the decisions that went into kind of the tones and arrangements, personnel, all that stuff?
Yeah, I wanted to do what I was doing at the Baked Potato on Tuesday nights with Jeff, Abraham, and Greg Matheson. We were burning. We were having a ball, and there was no other music like that group. So I wanted to do that in the studio. So we did.
And it was all live, like how you would have recorded at the Baked Potato?
No, I had to overdub the guitars because of the Boogie being so loud.
Yeah.
And so Cousin Steve and I, here's the door, control room, recording room. We set the Boogie up on a chair, get it just right where it's singing, and I would just play to the speakers blaring. But I wanted to create that energy that we did at the Baked Potato, for at least on the first 2 albums.
Right. And that was all Boogie for amp on that?
Yeah.
And in your 335, of course?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
And for the other guys, like, for Abel Boreal, or would you be charting stuff for them, or they would just kind of be like...
Well, I had demos with chord progressions, maybe a simple bass, just right. But Abraham put his identity on my songs.
Yeah.
For like Rio Samba, well, he played.
Yeah.
That's all Abraham. I didn't write that. I didn't arrange that.
Yeah.
That's what he gave to. He identified that tune. He had identified Nightcrawler. That's all Abraham's gift to the music.
Oh boy, yeah.
So I came in with the guys with chord charts, especially on that album.
Yeah.
And then they did their thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did you, when you were done with it, when you submitted it, you know, to the label, and
Mm-hmm.
were you feeling like, okay, this is going to be great? Or did you have any trepidation about sort of what the music was? Or
Don't
were you
think
nervous?
so. I was happy with it, and
Okay.
that was what I was going for.
Yeah.
Nobody from the label ever came while I was recording.
Okay.
Total freedom. And luckily at that time, you know, we had good budgets.
Yeah.
So we could take our time if we wanted to. But no. And then I turned it in, and Warner's released it, and we did good.
Yeah. Yeah. Was it, do you remember sort of like getting the first check from that record and being like, all right, like this is.
I don't. I don't. I just had a career.
Yeah.
Yeah. Worldwide, that album, my sound became, I
Yeah.
want to see that guy play.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. That must have been a great validating feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I always like telling the story that I had recorded Asia and Peg
Right.
for Asia, which they recorded with 3 or 4 different rhythm sections. I'm not even on that song,
Right.
right? They
Right.
did it in New York. But I played on it in LA with at least 2 different drummers. So I got to hear, right? Those chords.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, if you hear something you love and
Yeah.
it touches you, it should show up.
Yeah.
So when I started writing a tune, I loved that. I went, then I went, and all of a sudden I had a progression
Yeah.
for a new song
Yeah.
based on the fact that I heard that from
Wow.
Steely Dan.
And did Walter or Donald ever say anything to you?
No.
No.
No, not a word.
Not a word.
Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea that was. I mean, I knew that there was a connection there, but
course.
I didn't know that that was. I always kind of assumed that you'd played on it. You know, there was,
Right.
you know, and I think a lot of people, because you were so all over Asia. But it's interesting how they used all those rhythm sections too. And I think Robin Ford even told me that he played one of those solos. Like Jay Graydon was obviously the one.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
I'd be curious what those sounded like.
I think on their making of,
Yeah,
maybe they pull up a couple.
they do a little,
they don't
yeah.
wanna-
But yeah,
Not necessary.
yeah, I'd be curious of who the people were, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
they always had a very sort of like revolving door of,
Sure,
you know,
try
just-
this guy, try that guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Larry, I'm wondering if you can just show me a little bit of it. I didn't have the track for this one, so I'm going to have you just maybe show us a little bit of the kind of the main lick. I also really love the intro and the F-sharp
Yeah.
voicing that you do there. Can you kind of show me how you do that, and
Sure.
maybe just kind of the main lick from Room 335?
Yeah, obviously it's off of an A chord, but I played D major 7th to C sharp minor 7th. That's the sound.
Yeah.
Pretty chords.
Yeah, yeah, and then the main riff is how do you show us that one?
And then up a minor third. I don't know why I always slide into that C, but I always have.
Yeah,
Larryism, I guess.
yeah, and on the first phrase you always end with the A open, no,
I do.
not fretted. Okay.
I do. I don't know why, but that's the way it came out.
Yeah, whenever I try to play it, I always play the open note too loud, and so I end up I always end up just sliding into the low E string. Yeah, because
Gotcha.
I can't keep it balanced level wise. I need some more of the Dean Parks VU meter monitoring.
That's great.
Well, Larry, it has been such an honor to be here at your studio here in Nashville and to be able to speak to you about just a small number of some of the greatest songs of all time and just your contribution to music and to so many of us as musicians. It's just it's such an honor to be here to speak with you. So thank you for your contribution to music and everything that you've done. And I'm just so happy to speak to you.
Thanks, man. It's been a blessed career.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And big thanks to Rick Wheeler for technical support today.
Yes.
Thanks,
the
Ricky
great
Bob.
Rick Wheeler.
Appreciate it. Mason, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Tyler, thanks, man.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Very cool. That's it.
Martini time.